on air.
Hey guys, welcome. This is episode 2 of my podcast. I've got a special guest on today, Jayce Cunning. I'd like to introduce you, man, and please tell me a bit about yourself.
My name's Jayce Cunning, like you said. I'm a professional BMX and mountain bike rider. Or I guess you could almost say ex. I have a pretty big coaching business now, and that's what I focus on now. But I've been racing around the world for like the last 10, 12 years, and yeah.
Yeah, wow. When did that start?
I actually was a motocross rider.
Yeah, no way. I didn't know that.
So like I grew up racing like Hunter Lawrence and that.
Yeah.
At Coolum and Kilcoy and
Dude, you would have raced when I was the same age.
true. We did.
Yeah.
But I raced I got a bike for my 3rd birthday because my dad was a motocross rider, and then race fell on my 4th birthday, and that was like you had to be 4 to race.
Was your first race Coolum?
Yeah.
Brutal.
Dude, Pee-wee 50, come down the start straight, went on the inside rut of the first turn, got stuck. That was it.
That was
Never got
you
out.
can't get out of that, man. Them wheels are way too small to be riding around Coolum. They should cut the track a little bit too.
Dude, I never got to any of them bits. But first moto, yeah, I legit got to the first corner, got stuck, and just like I think I just sat there crying until an official come and helped me. But yeah, so I grew up racing motocross. I think when I was 7, one of my mates raced BMX, and I went to watch him.
So you raced until you were 7, like dirt bikes was still around that age?
Nah, I'd raced until probably like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And then I started getting pretty serious in BMX. So my parents were like, you got to kind of choose one. And I wasn't doing a lot of motocross. So I just had like race bikes sitting in the shed that weren't doing anything. So, but yeah, at 7 years old, my mate was doing BMX and I went and watched him. And then that night we bought a bike, and my dad wanted me to do BMX as like a way of cross training for motocross to make me more aggressive and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we bought a bike. Then my first race night, I won 4 out of 5 races, and I was like, this is way cooler.
This is way better. Well, the question is, which is more expensive, motocross or BMX starting out?
Motocross,
Is it just as expensive?
yeah, I think people get it mixed up, but motocross is expensive because the bike's more expensive. But BMX, you travel so much more at a young age.
Straight away, like every race is always far away type.
Yeah. Or and you'll just always go to races and stuff that are like Cairns, Melbourne, whatever. So there's a lot of travel, but now even these days, BMX bikes are so expensive that it's not even really cheaper for a bike.
It's just nearly as like buying one with a motor, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Like my BMX bike now would be well over $8,000. And then it's like some of my mountain bikes, like now that I ride for Cube and stuff, like some of them are worth more than a motorbike. And it's like insane how much they cost.
Yeah, I've seen that. Everything's getting more expensive. It's like any sport. If you're gonna be professional at the highest level, it's not gonna be cheap.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's one of them things. It's like depending on how committed you are, if you're going to go to these races and like travel around, it's like if you're playing tennis and have a racket, it's going to get expensive. So
yeah, you're gonna have the best racket, the best coach, the best nutrition. Yeah, it all adds up in anything you do. And
yeah, I think that's the thing with sport is like to a degree, no matter however committed you are and however much money your parents have, you can spend as much as you want. So it's like
never ending.
It can always be as expensive or as cheap as you want.
For sure.
But it's more, subjective to who you are and what you want to do.
Yeah, so you raced dirt bikes until it was BMX, let's go.
Yeah, I think I raced dirt bikes until, I would have been like 11, and then I got 6th in the world for BMX and started like racing.
At 11?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you just got good at it quick.
Yeah, I think, kind of.
Yeah.
I was just like pretty talented on a push bike, which in motocross, I definitely didn't have that talent. Like I could ride and I was like pretty good, but compared to like, I was racing with like guys like Hunter and Jesse Dobson and these guys that were just like levels above. And then I went to BMX and I was like pretty quickly at the top of like my age group and stuff. And then that just drew me in. It's like,
you're going to be good at it.
When you're a kid, you want to win, and I was winning. So I was like, this is way better than motocross.
Oh, well, you got to be happy. It's taking you very far now. And
yeah,
so it's probably the right path to go down because motocross was a hard one to make it in Australia.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where I started.
Yeah. And it was like, it was a huge learning curve, but I think so many things that my dad taught me through motocross translated to BMX. And like my dad knew a lot of people in the industry in motocross and stuff, but which I've had to make all them relationships myself in BMX. But I think just the work ethic and everything that he taught me in motocross at such a young age definitely translated and helped me
Yeah.
get where I am.
Yeah, definitely toughens you up a little bit, the old motocross.
Yeah.
On up with. Especially Coolum, man. Like, Coolum's so brutal.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think people understand. It's like if you grew up racing Coolum straight away,
Yeah.
you're going to have a pretty good mental mindset.
Yeah. I reckon that's where my anxiety comes from. 100%. Get excited to go race Kilcoy or something, or Conondale.
I grew up Kilcoy.
Yeah.
And then I remember our first time I went to Coolum, man, we like got there the day before, walked the track. I'm like, man, this is so smooth. Like, this is awesome. I was like, how good is this? First practice road, braking bump, sand, deep. I was like, I didn't expect it to get like this.
Yeah. It was gnarly.
Yeah.
But no, it was good. I enjoyed it.
So you took off young age, 11, won a world championship, and then it was kind of...
I got 6th in the world.
You got 6th in the world.
Yeah.
And then tell me in between from them to 16, 17.
So I got 6th in the world. That year, the worlds were actually in Australia. It was like one of the biggest worlds we had. So I think just my class had like 105 riders or something like that.
Wow.
And then, I ended up getting 6th there. And then my parents were like, if you make the final, which is top 8, we'll take you to Worlds next year, which was in South Africa. So I made the final and I was stoked. And then I got home and they were like, we're not going to South Africa. And I was like, oh, you're kidding. But then I basically just kind of like chipped away in Australia for a few years, just racing like the normal stuff. And then I ended up actually fast tracking year 12. So I like had a meeting with my principal and stuff. And he was like, you can do year 12 in 6 months. This is the requirements. Like, you've got to finish all this stuff. And then I finished year 12 in 6 months and then flew to America for 3 months and started racing over there.
So the BMX is big in America too.
Yeah, it's way bigger in America.
Everything's bigger than here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you did a good 3 months in America. And that's the question. Did you improve day and night from when you got there to when you left?
Yeah. Well, like right before I went to America, we had like a Queensland title, and it was my first year in like junior elite, which is like 17, 18-year-olds about to go elite in BMX. And I won the Queensland title in my first year. And that was like a month before I went to America, and I was like on a high. I was like, let's go. And I got to America and just got waxed.
Don't realize how good the kids are.
Just got smoked. And then, but yeah, I improved so much, but like it was just 3 months of agony. I was just over there just getting smoked every time we raced. And just to make it out of qualifying was like a big deal for me back then. But yeah, I ended up learning heaps. And then I think I got like probably like 50th at the Grands in A Pro, which was the class I was in. And then,
which is the top class,
second top. Yeah, so it's like almost like 250s, 450s.
Yeah,
so there's A Pro, double A Pro. Well, there was back then. It's not like that anymore. So I was in like A Pro, but I was only 16. I just turned 17 actually. Yeah, because I was August and I went over end of September. So I just turned 17, and I went over there. And my mate I was with was racing in the age class. So it's like people that are like 17 years old but not fair.
Yeah.
And I kind of like went over expecting to race that, and I got there and like went to register for the first race, and I found out like the different rules in age and pro, and I was like, I'm going pro.
Yep.
I was like, we'll figure it out. So I just jumped straight in, and then like I said, I got smoked, and then my team took me back in 2015, and I ended up making the final. I went from like getting like 50th, and then the following year I got 5th.
In America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the Grand.
Yeah, cool. So there's race teams and you have trucks and stuff like that too.
Nah, that's not like motocross.
Not like that?
No. I'm pretty lucky with my team now. Like they usually like have a motorhome and stuff around.
Have everything set up. Yeah.
It's not like trucks and stuff. That's just because they own like a big bike shop and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not like motocross.
It's not the same.
Nah. Like the first year I was at Grands, I sat on the in the bleachers.
Yeah.
The whole weekend. Because I didn't have
biggest race ever, and you're just sitting.
Didn't have anywhere to sit. There was like 5 Aussies, and we were just sitting on the bleachers, just like winging it. Like freezing cold.
Yeah,
like it's in middle of winter in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yeah.
in Tulsa, and it was just freezing cold. And like the arena that it's in is like 2 levels. So there's like the bottom level where the track is, and then the top level where all the pits are. And when you go down to the bottom level, it's freezing. And we sat down there the whole weekend because I didn't know anybody in America. I had no idea who anyone was, nowhere to sit, no one to kind of lean on for support. We were just winging it.
Just going it.
Yeah.
Good on you, man. That's awesome. Like doing that at such a young age it teaches a lot of life lessons too.
Yeah.
Like you grew up quick, obviously. When you're that professional at something that's so young, you grow up so fast.
Yeah.
A
Especially when you're traveling the world at a young age without people around you.
Yeah.
Like when I was, I think, 12, my mum put me on a plane for the first time on my own. I just flew to like Adelaide or something and just stayed with a friend to race. And it's like you start learning quick how to just
learn how to look after
yourself. Yeah. And just get by.
Yeah. That's why I recommend it to everyone as like doing something professional, like riding bikes or doing something like that, because you grow up so quick and you learn so fast. And I still appreciate mum and dad putting me into motocross at such a young age and making me like go all in or out.
Yeah.
100%. You just grow up so fast.
Yeah, without a doubt. I was talking to a girl at the track the other day, and she's been injured for a while, but she's a really good rider. And she was like humming and hawing about like what to do. And I was like, just give it a crack. I was like, I think she's 16. I was like, you've got nothing to lose.
Nothing.
I was like, you'll learn so much. And my parents always taught me too. They were like, if you just have a crack at BMX and travel the world and meet people, they're like, you may never become a professional BMX rider or make a living off it. They were like, but you might meet someone that has a job opportunity, or like the amount of people you'll meet. And like, I was in Texas one time living there and met this guy who owns a huge real estate company. And then like, he ended up sponsoring me, and like, I went on his podcast and like all this stuff. And it's like all these people I met that just do BMX for fun, but then like all these other opportunities come from meeting them because I just like had a crack.
Yeah.
And I was saying that to this girl the other day. I was like, you may as well just have a crack at it because you got nothing to lose. And if you have a crack for the next 7 years, you're only 23. You can work forever. You start doing this forever.
Yeah, that's what I always try to tell people, like when they get like, oh, well, like I'm too old or I'm too that. It's just like, you can fuck up for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You can get a job tomorrow. Doesn't matter what it is. You can get a job.
Yeah.
It's not like no one works in Australia.
Yeah.
Like you can go get a normal job.
Yeah. And that's my theory too, is like, I'm like, if I didn't have a crack either and make like a little bit of a name for myself, like I wouldn't have this whole coaching business and stuff I have. So I'm like, these people that have talent, I'm like, have a crack. Worst case, you get a normal job, or if you want to, you can become a coach, or if you're good like with mentality stuff, you can become like a sports psych for other athletes. Like there's a million different avenues you can go down. But I'm like, if you don't have a crack and give up at an early age, like you're just going to be in a job forever like everybody else.
Yeah, man, that was like me. Like I had heaps of injuries and didn't keep going through with motocross and just worked.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like COVID, I bought a Harley and then started randomly wheeling it and I started like 5 years after working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wish I started younger, so I started doing something else. And that kind of brought me back into bikes.
Yeah.
So it's so weird how my process went. And then I've kind of been in and out of work and then trying to make my goal happen and stuff like that. And it's like,
yeah,
it's the times now.
But that's what I find so sick. Like even since like we only met.
Literally a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. We've seen it. This is the third time we've ever seen each other. And we just got along so well because I feel like I'm like so inspired by watching you just be like, this is what I want to do. Whatever I've got to do to get there, I'll just do it. Like that conversation we had on Instagram the other day. And I'm like, fuck, just have a crack.
Yeah, man, that's why I appreciate it too. It's like I've seen you've done it and I like hanging out with people that have had a go.
Yeah.
And just said, fuck it.
And especially like, I know like everyone has their own story, different parents, whatever, but like we're fortunate enough where both of us have like great families and stuff. And it's like worst case scenario, we're sweet. Like we can fall.
I'm going to go back to work.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly. It's like my dad knows a million people in earth moving.
Yep.
I fall on my ass tomorrow and everything ends. I'll go get in a Bobcat.
Yeah.
Like, there's a million different things we can fall back on. So it's like, there's nothing to lose to have a crack. And that's what I feel like in this day and age, so many people are after like instant gratification and stuff. And it's like, they want something now or never, or they want an answer right now. And I'm like, you just got to dive in and like learn in the battlefield.
Yeah.
whereas everyone wants answers before they try and have a crack at something.
Yeah, they want that security.
Yeah.
Like they always know that they're going to be safe.
Yeah.
And I think that's our generation to a T now.
Yeah.
So they just want to know safety. Where like I literally just quit my job and I'm moving to America in a few weeks. I'm like, I'm just going to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like,
100%.
let's go.
I think that's like everything. All my favorite memories in life are things where I've just been like, let's just do it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like there's been plenty of times where I've just booked a flight to a race or something and I'm just like, I got no idea what I'm doing, but what's the worst that can
Man,
happen?
I got this good one. It was 2 years ago. I was like, I just decided I'm going to go for America for 3 months and just kind of like try to figure it out. I said to mum and dad, I was like, I'll be back in 3 months. I'm having 3 months off work. I'm just going to go figure it out. I flew to America, had nothing. First 2 days I got there, I was like, I want to go home. Like, this sucks. I have nothing here. I have everything I want at home. I have my van, my bikes. I have nothing. Bought a van for $3,000. I was like, sweet. Like, this is a bit of a start. Started cruising around this van. And I was like, I always knew I wanted to get on this stunt team in San Diego, senders only. Like, and boys are awesome. And I bought a Harley and took it straight to them to put parts on it. Like, that's how I met them.
Yeah, right.
And then they're like, oh, you should come for a ride with us. And I was like, yeah, let's go for a ride. And they're like, wow, you can ride. And they're like, come to a show for us. And that's literally how I got on a stunt team in America.
Yeah.
By just like putting myself out there and like introducing myself, buying a bike, like giving them money to put parts on it to show them that I'm not just there to use them.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, putting yourself out there and just getting shit done.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge thing too, is like, I feel like people these days are so scared to reach out to people for whatever reason. Like when I was a kid, or like when I was like first going to America and stuff, I didn't have a coach. Like I never had a coach like my whole life really until I was like living in America and that. And I just like would text like Sam Willoughby, who was like one of the best at the time, or he was one of the best ever. And I'd just like ask him questions about racing in America, about training, just like random stuff. And he'd just like answer me. But it's like, I feel like people are so scared to approach people and just like work it out. And like, I would message people I'd never met and just be like, can I come stay at your house?
Yeah.
Like one of my best mates to this day, I was riding for a team in America and his dad just like asked me about the shoes I was wearing, like that I was racing in.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Riley needs new shoes. And he just like asked me a question. Then he's like, oh, if you're ever in Arizona, like let us know, you're free to stay.
How good's Arizona?
And then, yeah, then it was like January the next year. And I just like text him and I was like, hey, do you live in Arizona? Because I like couldn't really remember. And then he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm planning on coming over. And he's like, I'll come stay. Never, ever hung out with the guy in my life. Flew over, he picked me up from the airport, stayed at his house for ages. And then we just like got on like a house on fire, trained together every weekend, flew to all the races together. And like, I'd never met the bloke.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm just going to fly there and we'll just see what happens.
It's the best way to do it, man. That's like literally how I've done my whole America stuff. Is just meet people, talk to them, be nice, and then they literally take you in because Americans are so nice, man. They love Australia.
They love us.
Shout out to the Americans, man. Like same thing, Arizona. I got this good friend Derek over there. He literally, I gave him money to buy me a Harley, and he built it for me for one of my biggest ever stunt competitions. It was my first ever one.
Yeah,
built it in his house in his garden. I said, I'll just pay you to do it. And he was like super happy to do it.
Yeah.
Went and stayed with him for 2 weeks in Arizona. Went and rode like the whole time. But you don't get that here much in Oz.
Yeah. I think that's the problem. Like sometimes the problem over here is everyone wants to see you do good, but not as good as
Not as good as it. 100%.
So it's like, whereas in America, it's like people give you all the opportunities. Well, that's how it seems being an Aussie. I don't know if it's like that.
I don't think it's the same from America to America.
Yeah.
I think they're just stoked for Aussies to go over and have a go because then like, once you're in America so long, you see the dark side too of people that don't want to succeed. It's the same as here.
Yeah, you definitely see it.
For sure.
But yeah, it's definitely cool though. Like I've had people where I've gone over to, I went and like, I knew this girl that lived in, I don't even know where she lives anymore. I can't remember. But we were racing in Nashville and like the closest airport I could get into at the time was like Cincinnati.
Yep.
And then she's like, oh, we're currently building a house. You can't really stay here, but you can stay at my grandma's. So I just like flew in, stayed at her grandma's. They did everything they could possibly do for me. Then like went to Nashville the next week, raced. Then I like won there. And there was just like such a cool story because when I was leaving, my mum's like, where are you staying? I was like, oh, I'm staying at someone's grandma's house. And I just like always look back on it and I'm like, it's so cool the situations we get ourselves in to make it happen. But then like just the people you meet around the world from doing what you love.
It's crazy, man. It's the same thing. I've had so many wild stories of like, a message on Instagram to getting to a race to getting back to the airport because you just have nothing there.
Yeah.
And it's the funniest time and how it happens. And you look back at it and go like, the story doesn't even sound real. Half the shit you did. I was like, if I were to tell some random that story, they would not believe me.
Yeah. 100%, but it's just so sick.
Yeah. No, it's sick, man. So like, what would be your advice? Let's say someone's young or old. Who cares how old you are? And you want to make something happen.
I reckon I would say to keep it simple, just think less.
Think less, do more.
But yeah, I think people just think, yeah, like I was saying before, they try and have everything mapped out before they jump into something. And I've definitely caught myself in these situations. Like sometimes, even like when I'm training, when I was doing my own training and stuff, like gym wise, I'd like go to write my gym session. I'd try and map out the perfect gym session. And then 3 hours later, I'm still not in the gym.
I'm like, still trying to map this thing out.
Yeah, I'm like, just get in the gym and do something. And I feel like that is a problem with a lot of people I come across these days is like, they want guaranteed success before they jump into something.
Yeah, it's like they have to know they're going to win it if they do start it.
And I'm like, for one, all the valuable life lessons I've learned have been from losing and failing.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, if you just jump in and have a crack and fail, you'll learn quicker than trying to map it out and figure out what all the wrong answers are.
Yeah.
Like just jump in, see what happens. And like, I like look back now and I'm just like, the worst case scenario, we're going to be sweet. Like
that's a very way to put it, in a few words.
Yeah. Like, because I used to stress about stuff too. And then every situation I've ever had myself in, I've been completely fine.
Yeah.
Even when it's gone horribly wrong.
Man, you look at it, all your favorite riders, all the people, their story on how they made it wasn't sweet.
Yeah.
But they were sweet in the end because they just did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a story the year that I won the Grand Nationals in the US, which is like, it's called the greatest race on earth. So they have like 7,500 riders there.
Yep.
And it's like huge. And I was living in Texas and I was like living in America all year. And I think we did like 18 races or something. And I won 15 of them, got a second and 2/3. And the whole year I was just like killing it. And the end of the year, I was like living in Texas and there was a 6-week gap between the last race and the Grands.
Yeah.
So I was just like there training, and because there was like such a big gap, we weren't getting paid much. So I was like basically living off of winning races. And then we had 6 weeks of no racing. So I was like, fuck, here we go. And I was in America living with this family and stuff. And I got down to like my last $200, like no word of a lie.
Scary.
And I was like I had a flight home and stuff, but I was like, I got $200 and I did not want to have to message mum and ask her for money.
Yeah.
And I always like put it back to things. I'm like, when you need something, when like a time comes in life where you need money or something, there will become an opportunity to get it. And I was just like always like that. And I was like, I'll make this $200 work, whatever. And I went to the track like that night. And there was a South African family there and they were just like said hi to me and I was just like super nice to them, talking to them. And then they were like, oh, can you coach our kids up to Grands? And I was like, I would love to.
And yeah, that was at 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think this was like, we were like 4 weeks out at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'd love to. I was like, what would you like to do? Like a session a week? And they're like, oh, how much? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, if you do 9 sessions between now and Grands, we'll give you $800 US. And I was like, sick, that'll get me through. And they just like first training session paid me the whole thing.
So you're sweet. You
yeah.
know.
So I had like that. And then my dad rang me one day and he's like, oh, my mate at home wants to like talk to you. And I was like, oh, sick. And then I spoke to this guy, his name's Dave Hayden, and he's like helped me so much. And he wanted to sponsor me and he like was just like, oh, I want to sponsor you, and then just like paid me $5,000. And I was like, oh, weight off my shoulders.
How good.
And then I think we got to like the week of Grands and I was with my old team manager and he took us he was like going to the airport because his bike didn't show up when he flew over.
Yeah.
And he was going to the airport to get his bike. And then we got to the airport and my parents had flown over and surprised me.
Yeah.
So they came over to watch me and then we were just like hanging out and like my mind was like finally like stress free and stuff. And then we went to this race and then I won the Race of Champions and got like $2,000 US for that. then won grands and got 2,500 US. And then that Dave guy gave me like a $3,000 bonus too.
But so that like representing his company.
So I went from having $200 and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get to this race. And then after this race, I had like a ton of money in the bank. And I was like,
From $200
Yeah.
to just like just trusting, oh,
Yeah.
let's go.
because then like once I like changed all the USD back to AUD,
Oh, so good.
it like, converted so well. But it was just like one of them times where it's like, I thought it was all over. And then it's like, I always like look back to that story and I'm like, there's always a way to figure it out. Like if you just trust the process, be good to people, something will always work out in the end.
I'm a big believer in that. Like, better person you are and nice and happy and giving yourself, something's always going to come out of it.
Yeah.
No, I'm a big believer in that for sure.
I even find that with like coaching now, whenever I'm at the track, like people I don't coach and I know go to other coaches, if they like ask me for advice, I'll give them all the time.
Yeah.
And like, even I think through that, it's like my coaching's so busy now because I think just over the years, I've always given people time, even when they're not paying me.
Yep.
And I think it's just, it goes down. It's
all adds up in the end, doesn't it? Yeah, for sure. That's funny, that story of the money, man. I remember I couldn't get to a race in America. I just messaged this company saying, I'll run your sticker on my helmet for this whole race or whatever. And then they paid for my flight to get to Ohio.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like makes it fun.
It's crazy what you'll do to make it there. But then it's like, you look back and it's like the amount you learn just through like networking and talking to people and
Making yourself professional. That's all it is.
And there's a million people that are willing to help you.
Yeah.
You just got to meet them people. And
for sure. It's a crazy life, man. And there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
So just sit in that one job all day, every day.
Yeah. There's a million stories I got like that are just like, well, I've never really done podcasts and stuff, so I've never talked about them. But it's like, I tell some of the guys I coach and they're just like, really, did that happen? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so you can go and figure it out too.
Yeah, exactly right.
Go have a crack, jump in the deep end and you'll learn to swim soon.
Yeah, it's a perfect role model, man. It's like literally just having a go and not having that security there like we just talked about.
Yeah.
So racing's done for you?
I don't know. I toss and turn every day.
Every day about it.
It's
You still got the speed. I watch all your videos, man. It's like
I'm in a situation. I still race Crankworks, which is like the mountain bike world tour.
Is that New Zealand?
New Zealand's the next one. Yeah. So it's the first one of the year. I don't know. I've been having heaps of dramas.
How long is that?
Lately. Until it?
Yeah.
3 weeks, I think.
And you right now in this 3 weeks out, you're like, I don't know, I might do
I
it.
haven't booked the flight. Nothing. Got nothing.
You said you're having dramas?
Yeah, with my neck. I injured my neck ages ago and it'll just flare up.
What'd you do?
I was in a race. It was in Mackay, I think, and I was like battling for the win and crash. And then the next 6 guys just all ran over me, but one guy ran like straight into the back of my head.
Yep.
And it's like pretty impossible to see on X-rays, but everyone I've like gone and seen and they did X-ray and stuff, but they reckon I cracked the bone at the very top of your neck that your skull sits on.
This is like one?
I don't know. There's like 2 ball joints on either side, one of them.
I broke it.
Yeah.
And I still have dramas in my life.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
And she basically, like the first lady I seen, she was like, you'll probably just deal with this forever because there's no blood flow, it will never heal properly. And I was kind of just like, whatever. So I tried to like get other opinions and then turns out she was right, I think.
It's hard, man. Where'd you go?
I've been to heaps people.
Did you go to Brisbane and spine?
No.
That's where I got mine done. Oh, man. It's the weirdest injury I ever did and it still gives me so much drama. It gives you drama through like the top of my back.
Yeah.
And I get super tight in like my upper back from it.
Yeah. When I went in, because I never got it checked because I was like, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just sore because I got run over. And then when I went in and told her everything that happened, she's like, you for sure like fractured that. And I was like, really? And she's like, you can go get X-ray, but it won't show up, whatever. And then, it's never got better really. It'll just flare up every now and then. And I'm just like, it flares up from riding. So I'm kind of just like sick of trying to ride through it. And because racing's not my full priority right now, I'm like, what's the point in going through all that pain?
Yeah.
To just...
You've got a good business. You got the security right now.
I do have security. But yeah, so that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know.
It's a hard one.
So I do plan on racing Crankworks though. I'll do Cairns in Canada.
Yep.
And then I'll maybe do Rotorua. And then as for BMX, I'm kind of just focusing on coaching.
So Cranksworks, that's mountain bike, not
Yeah.
BMX, right?
That's mountain bike, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just like feel like the last couple of years I've been spread thin trying to do it all. And I'm just at a point where I like really want to focus on one and see what I can do with that one.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just a smarter decision to do that with coaching. And I've taken on like working with a mountain bike guy. I do a little bit of work with a motocross guy. So
That's awesome, and that's so cool you're getting into that industry too, because the fitness really does transpire across both.
yeah. And that's why like you know how much I'm into Supercross and stuff, and like I've watched the training and stuff forever, and I'm like obsessed with that stuff.
Have you been to the new Australian Alden Baker?
Yeah.
You ever seen that guy?
Yeah, but that's what I look back at, and I'm like, all the best motocross trainers were all professional
Tomac's
bike
dad,
riders. Yep,
Alden Baker.
John Tomac, Alden, what's his name? Is still racing. Oh, what's the Lawrence's coach's name? Johnny O'Meara.
Yeah, Johnny O'Meara.
He's still racing mountain bikes. Like all these guys have all come from bike industry and gone across to motocross, and I've just always followed it since I raced motocross.
Yeah.
It's something that super interests me, and then I got the opportunity just to like do some stuff with Jayce, and so
I used to race him, bro.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Same age group.
yeah, right.
Yeah. So gnarly. Talking about mountain bike, I've done it once.
Really?
I was in Utah.
Oh, sick.
The sickest place you could go to, and the guy I was with is like full pro downhill mountain bike. He actually runs our stunt Harley competitions. He's such a legend.
What's his name?
Good question, bro. I'm horrible with names. Hope he doesn't listen to this.
Yeah.
But I went to stay at his house. He's like, he does ski base jumping off mountains. Like this dude's nuts, like insane. And when you see him, you don't think so, and then you like start to get to know him because he's pretty quiet. You're like, dude, you're crazy.
Yeah. The unassuming people, eh?
Yeah. Anyway, so I went downhill. We went and hired these bikes. I've never done it before.
Yeah.
And we got to the top and I'm like having fun, like doing a couple fun trails. I'm like, this is so sick. And he's like, all right, we'll like go to like where I ride. And I'm like stopping at cliffs, like my heart's racing. I didn't even have to pedal yet, bro. It was so gnarly.
Yeah.
I'm like, from what I go from, which I think's gnarly, like he thinks crazy with like the dirt bike stuff and that.
Yeah.
And I go to the downhill mountain bike stuff. I'm like, this stuff's fucking nuts.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy too, I think. Like just having done all of them is like when you're mountain biking through like I've done a heap of forestry riding and stuff with my dad. But it's like when you hit like a rock the wrong way on a mountain bike, it'll just throw you. It's like a bit.
I had huge crashes, bro.
Yeah.
Massive ones, man, and they were pissing themselves laughing at me. I got stuck between the seat and the rear wheel from going down something so deep. Ken Block made this track, this like hectic track.
Yeah.
There's something to do with Red Bull, and they're like, it's roped off. And he's like, he's allowed to go down it. And I tried following him. And I'm like trying to walk this bike down, but it was too steep to walk down.
Yeah.
I'm like stuck in the rear wheel in the back seat, just getting buckled the whole way down. I'm like, man, hats off to you guys that do that stuff because you can get seriously hurt.
Yeah, see, I don't do much of the gnarly stuff. Most of the stuff I do is just racetracks. But yeah, I ride it, some of it when I'm in Whistler and stuff, but some of them dudes are just insane.
Insane, man. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I didn't think it was going to be that scary. Like the first bits that were like all fun, I'm like, this is so sick.
Yeah, some of it's so gnarly.
Yeah.
But it's so sick.
And the brakes were on the opposite side. I only died a couple times.
I'm back on the right from the left. That's how I run.
Yeah. I was like, nearly died the first time I went down the hill. Grabbed the wrong brake. Oh, good times though, man. Yeah. So that reminds me a lot of myself though, like what you're saying. I go across like 4 different disciplines, which is so gnarly.
Yeah.
But I can't stick with one, but I'd love to see what I would go like if I just went head down, bum up on one.
That's our ADHD. Because I'm like, I look at like, and there's nothing at all to say I would have ever done it. But when I watched the Olympics this year, there was multiple people there that I was beating back when I was like racing in America.
Imagine if I just kept doing that one thing.
But then it's like, I also look at life and I'm like, I wouldn't have what I've got and be where I am if I stuck to that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big commitment. It's like you can commit 4 years of basically being broke and living on your ass trying to make it, and there's nothing to guarantee you make it. Or like I'm kind of lucky during COVID, I just kind of fell into the coaching, so I never really chose to go
was
there.
COVID that started that? 2020?
Yeah.
21?
Yeah. So it's like I moved back from America in December 2019,
Yeah.
And then I was just living off the money that I made at that race because I couldn't do anything because everything was shut. And then a guy reached out to me and was just like, oh, I want to learn to manual. And he's just a dad at the club that him and his wife and stuff just love getting better. They barely race. Well, they don't even really go to races. They just love riding and getting better. And I did some training with him, taught him how to manual. And then he went back to the track another day, and one of the other dads seen him manualing and was like, you couldn't do that the other day. How'd you learn that? And he's like, oh, I've been doing some work with Jayce. But then he contacted me about his kid. And then I trained his kid for a while, and he went from like, I think he hadn't like ever made a final at a Queensland title or anything. And then in like 3 months, he got third in Queensland. And then a month after that, got third in Australia.
Wow.
And then they put up like a post thanking me for training him, and then it just blew up.
So you didn't even mean to start the coaching?
No.
You were just coming over to learn off where you were, and then it just like, you just stayed where you were and it happened.
And I've always gone in with the mindset that if I'm good enough, the business will come. So I've never ever promoted my coaching. I've never ever, like, I've done tours like up north and stuff where they'll be like, Jayce is coming up, you can book in, whatever.
Yeah.
But my actual coaching core group on the Sunshine Coast and stuff, and the people I work with online, I've never ever like done any promotion to try and get clients. I've always just been a believer that if I do good enough with the people I've got, then word of mouth will do its job.
Yeah. How good's that, man? You got to be so stoked and pat yourself on the back for that. That's epic.
Yeah. I just love it. I love seeing people achieve goals, and like there's so many of them that don't believe they can, and I know they've got the ability to do it, and I love just like working with that, trying to tick it off and watching them fail and get back up and go again. And because it just reminds me of me when I was young. And when I was younger, I've definitely slacked off a bit now, but when I was younger, I was just such a hard worker.
Yeah, just every day. Yeah.
I'd get up early before school and be sprinting in the freezing cold in winter and like doing all that stuff.
It's crazy. That reminds me when I was like doing motocross and stuff, like the amount of effort you put in, and I wasn't even winning stuff.
Yeah. 100%.
It was crazy. And I look back at it and go, like, I'm so thankful I did that, because like that's where I'm at now with everything else. It's like kind of all ended up happening anyway because of that hard work I put in.
Yeah.
But I put everything into motocross when I was a kid and younger, and I never made it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's a hard one too, and some people will come out with natural talent and be like,
they don't even train.
Yeah, that would just be really good. But that's like the guys I coach now, I try and tell them, I'm like, it'll never last.
Nah.
Like once you all grow up, you all have the same skill pretty much, and it'll come down to who's mentally stronger and who has the like work ethic then to be able to do it. And those guys that have always been talented never end up having it. I know a lot of people that have been world champions as kids, and none of them even do the sport anymore.
I could name 5 people off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That like were killing it as a kid, and I was working hard, and they were just like doing nothing and just good on a bike.
Yeah.
I was so jealous.
Yeah. And that's just how it is sometimes. And that's the hard thing too, is it's hard to explain to kids that like if they just stick with it, their time will come.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you all hit puberty and grow and develop at different ages. But if you can stick it out, your time will come. Like growing up, I was always there because I just always worked hard. But there'd be people come in, dominate for a year, go back to the back of the pack. Someone else would grow. They'd dominate for a year, drop back. And it was just like, I'm like, if you stick it out, it'll happen one day.
Yeah, for sure. So like going on top of that, what would be your best advice to start and stay there?
I would say just keep it fun. That's what...
Don't make it too serious.
Yeah. I think there's not many people that I grew up racing that even still do it. And
even for fun.
No. Yeah, they've all gone and got jobs
burnt out
because I think they had pushy parents and stuff. And I just loved riding my bike. Because like their parents would have to like drag them to training, whereas like I was dragging my mum to training.
Like I wanted to be,
Mum, let's go. Like I was very lucky. My mum supported everything. Like when I was younger, I would just ride every afternoon. So she'd come to the school and have food made for me. She'd pick me up, have my bike and everything in the car. I'd eat on the way, go to the track, just ride till dark.
Yeah.
And
you wanted it as a kid, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids you see racing and all that stuff, their parents want it a bit more than them.
100%, or they're trying to live through them.
Yeah.
And
I see it a lot.
I think I was just lucky as well. My parents never pushed it. Like when I was 6th in the world, actually, it was like not long after that. And I was just like kind of burnt out. And my mum was like, if you don't want to do it, just don't do it. But I like just had this expectation on myself that I had to
Yeah.
because I had achieved whatever. And she's like, if you don't want to do it, just quit. Like, we'll get you a cheaper bike you can ride on a Friday night at the local club for fun, and we just won't travel.
I remember my mom and dad used to say that to me, and I was like,
Yeah.
that sounds so gay.
Yeah. I was like, I can't do that. And then, like, I think as soon as she said that, the weight came off my shoulders, and I was like, oh. And then I was like, I loved it again.
Yeah.
But it was just that is what I think it was. Like, when I had a story that I said on that other podcast the other day about seeing a psychologist and how much better I got. And when I was working with her,
Sports psychologist?
she wasn't.
She was just a psychologist.
I went to her for sport, but she never talked about sport.
Yeah,
like,
cool.
went back to my childhood and stuff. But basically, when we dug into that, so much of my stress came from when I raced motocross, never feeling like I'd be enough for my dad because he was good on a motorbike.
Yeah.
So, and like it was never ever made like that. Like, my dad never made it seem like that. My mum never made it seem like that. It was just made up in my own head that I would never be enough to impress him or like be good enough as a son if I stuck to motocross, I think.
Yep.
And then I carried that into BMX. And then when I worked with her, a lot of it was around that. And then once we like cleared that, I was like so mentally strong at races. Whereas before that, every time there was pressure, I'd just crumble.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
I can feel that in like, I went to sports psychologist too when I was younger, and it was like an awesome thing to do.
Yeah.
For sure. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. See, did you find a sports psych was good? Like, I went to a sports psych when I was younger, and maybe it was just me or I was too young to actually comprehend it all.
It would have been better if I did it now.
Yeah.
Like, you'd probably get more about it now. It's like anything I do now. It's like, I wish I'd learnt this now, not when I was younger. Or I guess you just mature every year a bit more. But I went to one and it all brought back to like school and stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't even really talk about the sport, but it's like she wrote you a plan for what you should do at the races and how your mind should work and stuff like that. It's all like trying to bring out trauma from when you were younger. I feel like that's their job though.
Yeah. And I think majority of like sports psych stuff that I feel like I've learned all comes down to basically putting pressure on yourself to achieve an outcome
for someone else
that isn't guaranteed to impress someone that isn't you. And it's like, if you simplify it and you're just like, I want to go achieve this, it might happen, it might not. All I can do is go ride as good as I possibly can. Then you've just got to be happy with whatever happens. Because stressing about trying to win, I feel like gives you a less likely chance of actually winning.
For sure. I always try to think it's like you're racing yourself.
Yeah.
Everyone out there is just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But when you start putting the pressure on, I have to win, I have to beat that kid, or that's when it's like, it's not your race.
Yeah. Well, funny story. The year I won Grands, I never ever wrote down that I wanted to win Grands.
Yeah.
My goal for that weekend was to meet 10 new people that I've never met before.
And you just had a different mindset of just...
So it's like my focus wasn't on racing because I was like, I've done all the work. I've done everything I possibly can to be my best. If I ride my best and someone beats me, they were just better. But I know if I ride my best, I know all the people I'm racing, I know I should be able to win. So that's all done and I can't control training. I can't go back 3 weeks and change something. So I'm like, these are my goals, meet 10 new people in America because I was trying to base myself there at the time.
Yep.
And I was like, the racing will take care of itself because I can't change the training and preparation I've done.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it's like, I just went through the motions of racing and I didn't overstress it.
That's so good, man, to say, like, hear that from someone else too. It's actually, you do all your work, like all your trainings before the day.
Yeah.
Enjoy the day.
Yeah. And
Do
it's
something
like,
else.
when people I feel like they put down goals of like winning something. And it's like, you might go ride the best you've ever ridden a bike, but now you get second, it's a failure.
I had that as a kid, man. I'd go race the best and I thought I rode the best I could. And I was like hitting stuff sick. Some kid was better than me and you go, oh, I rode shit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Because I've had races too where I've won and I'm like, I did ride shit. But like, there was just no one that rode better.
Yeah.
But then it's like vice versa. I've had races where I've come fifth and it's been the best I've ever ridden.
And you had fun?
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. You're like, I had so much fun out there, but I got fifth.
Yeah. But that's like, I try and say it to kids I coach all the time and I probably sound like an idiot, but I'm like, you're just riding a bike. Like, we're literally riding bikes.
You simplify it.
How bad can it be? Like, you might have a bad day, but you're out here riding a bike.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
I had an awesome motocross coach, and he's actually still around and coaches a lot of people. And he was the same. It's like, I'll
Who's
be that? Dave Harvey.
Oh, no.
He's pretty private. Like, he kind of picks you, which is different. It's like kind of like you, like no promotion, no Instagram, no Facebook. He kind of picks you, and if he believes in you, he'll coach you.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of big guys still use him and stuff like that. But he used to be the same. Like, I'd be a kid riding down there coaching and hating the track. I was hating riding, and he'd be like, well, give me 5 positives and 5 negatives. And you can never give all the negatives because you're riding your bike.
Yeah.
You're not at school.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
like, you'd always bring it around to be like, you seem to be more positive and like see the good out of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Which when you're younger, I never had that. I'd try like a track's dry.
Yeah.
Bike shit. But there's always way more positives and way more better things. Like, you're riding your bike. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like what you said.
Yeah, I was at a motocross track not long ago, and there was a heap of riders there. I'm not going to say who,
Yeah.
but there was a heap of riders
Yeah.
there, and the track obviously wasn't great this day, and they were just all standing there just complaining about the track. And I'm like, you're getting paid to ride a motorbike for
Yep.
a living, and you're all just complaining about the track right now.
Same thing. It's like,
Just do some laps. There's people sitting in an office making way less money than you, having way less fun, and they got to do that every day for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're riding a motorbike and people are paying for that.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And now you can see that and you binge with that. It's like mind blowing. Like,
Yeah.
to have a good mindset, it's actually less draining.
Yeah.
It's way easier being that more positive and having a fun with it and just trying to find the good out of anything you do.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And I feel like you ride way better. Everything's way better when you do it like that.
100%.
Yeah.
Gangster, bro. We've pretty much nearly done an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
That went far.
Fast as, didn't it?
Jesus, that was sick.
So, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, bro. That was an awesome chat. I think
Thanks for
we probably
having
need to do another one.
Yeah, for sure.
Gangster. Thank you.
And before you move to America,
Done.
before you leave us, I'm going to have to come visit.